Toko-Pa Turner, Belonging, Remembering Ourselves Home. We're going to do a series of excerpts from the book. She has a lot on the website from her book. One of the things that I really love about being inspired to go deeply into what's going on with ourselves is that we really see some of the things that are holding us back. We have all of this in our unconscious mind, and then we have what we bring forward, and we can see it, and we can wow, I didn't realize that I was conforming to something that doesn't excite me or doesn't interest me. Most of the places in our lives are places where we're conditionally accepted. In our family of origin, we might be accepted in one way, but not in other ways. If we're in a queer group, we might be accepted in that sense. We can be ourselves in that sense, but we can't perhaps be who we are in other different ways. So, one of the things that we're practicing here with each other is giving up our control over other people, practicing allowing people to be themselves, but also encouraging people to be themselves, to not have to cut parts of ourselves off in order to fit in. We can tolerate people being who they are. And in fact, we can actually welcome that, and then we can welcome that in ourselves as well. So, what is your history with rebellion? Toko-Pa says, your rebellion is a sign of health. It is the way of nature to shatter and reconstitute. You take a moment and notice that. If you have a big history with that. How are you a rebel in your life now? So there's no right or wrong answer to this. It might be, I've always kind of felt like I belonged, and it's only recently that I'm starting to see how much I was holding back. We're going to go through 4 or 5 of these vignettes from Toko-Pa's book. Let it come up. We're not looking for any definitive answers. We're just seeing what pops to the surface. And what does that feel like in your body? In touch with your body and your breath. Like the tidal wave in a dream, which races for your windows, longing can be fierce and unapologetic, threatening to dismantle everything we've built. What if we are depriving ourselves of what could be a cathartic encounter? Just as lover and beloved long to be in each other's arms, so too is it between us and the life which is meant for us. Like a plant growing toward the sun, longing is nature inclining us towards the light we need in order to be fruitful. That which you seek is seeking you, the line by Rumi. So, longing is not only the quality of seeking reunion, but the sound of something in search of us, the calling homeward. Am I living the life meant for me? What could I call in to come home to me? Tidal waves wash away what's here. It dismantles everything. So it's not that we are going to be comfortable with a tidal wave. What comes up for you when you're just thinking about the words on this page? Longing is nature inclining us toward the light we need. What do you long for? And these are big questions. We don't need to find all of the answers or to figure it out. We could let that sit in our heart. Am I living the life meant for me? And how could I make that more true? And then letting that settle, moving to the next. The death mother is that paralytic energy that dismisses your creativity and demands your smallness and your silence. And when we're children, we get criticized and then we stop. We stop offering our creative spark. We hide it away. We must work to reclaim those parts, affirm and allow them, moment by moment, strengthening our capacity for inclusion or belonging. Belonging in the sense of all of me gets to be here. If you were to dip into this practice for a moment, bringing the fullness of our present to a moment, whether it's filled with rage or an upwelling of sadness, to say, this too belongs. And let's take a few minutes here to see what we could welcome into our heart, what we could invite forward, perhaps tolerate, and then gradually move more into, I could welcome this to be here. What are some of the parts that we might call in right now in this moment? Maybe it's something to do with your creativity that was smothered when you were a child. Or maybe it's something else. What resonates for you now? If there's a sense of a part of you that's holding back, not very sure, what might they be wanting you to know or wanting to come forward as? Maybe it's the part of you that feels really hurt and wasn't allowed to feel sad or express sadness. Maybe it's a goofy, silly part of you that wants to play. We could invite that in to our awareness. As always, we notice what's happening in our body. What are the sensations and energies? Are we breathing smoothly and sufficiently, or could we, if we're holding our breath? Notice your whole body. This too belongs. Right now, we're not working with what other people accept. We're working with what we could welcome. I welcome all of me with an open heart. Take a breath. Let that move to the background. Move into the next slide about witnessing transition. We need to be witnessed. We need to witness ourselves, and we need others to witness us and bring us in and accept us as well. And that's one of the extraordinary powers of community, she said. And that's also what we know to be true here. When we leave behind an old identity for a new form of belonging, there are always moments when we are tempted to slip back into our old skin. We know that too. Change is hard. It's unfamiliar. Our nervous system loves things that are familiar. The most safety we can have is alone in our own place where nobody could possibly activate us or make us feel unwelcome. So, this work of moving into our skin in a different way takes courage and attention and practice. Whether it is a grief that is too big to grieve alone, recovery from an illness that threatens to return, or stepping up to a new attitude of self that's tough to acclimate to, community helps us bear the weight. Friends remind us simply by bearing witness that we have become something new and we can never wholly unbecome it. Let's take a few minutes here to sink into that. How do my friends and community witness me? Maybe bring forward a few memories of times when that's really worked well, when they're interested, they're listening, they're approving, they're welcoming, they're witnessing us. You might think about the old identity that you're leaving behind, or maybe the new identity that you're embracing. There's something so exciting about that. And are you alone in that, or are there people who you are sharing at least part of that with? Taking that deep breath and allowing other people to witness you, even when it's a bit scary. How might I open more deeply into allowing myself to be witnessed? Notice where your mind goes. Notice if you're still focusing on this or what's happening. I'm going to take another minute or so with this. What's your experience around being witnessed in community with friends, maybe with new friends? Community helps us bear the weight of transition. And then let that move to the background. We're moving on to the last of these reflection questions. We spend so much time worrying about how to approach our future that we rarely consider how approachable we might be. We armor ourselves with savvy, strength, and certification so that when our moment arrives, we feel sufficiently prepared. To be approachable to life, to each other, and to mystery, we have to cultivate an inner hospitality. Like the host who prepares an extra helping of food, a fire in the hearth, and a seat at the table, even when guests aren't expected. Belonging always begins with an invitation. In my deepest heart's desire, I am inviting. It might be something from one of the previous reflections. I'm inviting in people to witness me. I'm inviting in courage to explore what lights me up. Stay attuned with your body and in your heart. I'm inviting in. Notice your body, your breath, energy, sensations. Let yourself stay here. And often, what happens when we invite something in, our mind tries to help us out by telling us all the things that could go wrong or why that's not the right thing, the right time. Let's just take one more minute to let go of anything that might be going on in the thoughts and the mind. Let yourself fully open. If nothing was in your way, what is your deepest heart's desire? How does that feel in your body?